Looks like those residents still have a few more days of stormy weather to be concerned about. A nice shot here from I-25 and North Academy in Colorado Springs. Quiet night here in the city. Spring and Storm Tracker 13 meteorologist Marty Vinicinque, who's in for Mary tonight to track those storm chances for us. Marty.
And thank you, Bart. South end of town, central Colorado Springs. A little bit quiet tonight as well. Just a few cars out there on the interstate, as seen from American Furniture Warehouse. You mentioned some concern about some flooding over the mountains to the south and west of Pueblo, particularly over the burn scars. We did have some flooding over the Wet Mountain Valley today. Just depends on where the storms are. But things are pretty quiet right now and generally speaking warm, with 70s in most of eastern Colorado and some humidity in the air too. We have 49 currently at Leadville. That's the cool spot. And then 60s for most of the mountain valleys. We're seeing parts of Teller County now cooling into the 50s. Our radar shows a few showers out around Salida, a couple of storms just to the east of Lyman. You see this little surface boundary that's moving towards the mountains. That's some low-level moisture. It's possible that we'll yet get a quick flare-up of a shower or a crack of thunder somewhere, but we're definitely on the downswing here with most of the activity coming to an end. And FUTURECAST suggests that the showers over the mountains will continue to fall apart here through the night. When you wake up tomorrow morning, I think partly cloudy conditions for most of us. There could be some patchy areas of low cloud cover over the far southeastern plains. And we'll generally stay in the 60s tonight for low temperatures in most of eastern Colorado, with 40s likely over the mountains and mountain valleys. Start the day off with a mixture of clouds and sun tomorrow. We'll be tracking a cold front. That will be coming through northeastern Colorado early in the morning by about lunchtime. You can kind of see it marked here by the broken thunderstorms that FUTURECAST shows beginning to develop. That front will continue to march off towards the south and west during the afternoon and probably serve as the focus for some thunderstorm development over the eastern plains of Colorado fairly early in the day, probably early in the afternoon. And then we'll see some popcorn variety storms once again popping up over the mountains early in the afternoon as well. We'll stop the map here at 4 o'clock, showing some clusters of bright colors on the map, indicating the potential, in some cases, heavy rain, but also maybe over the southeastern plains for some severe. If we get some stronger cells to go up, they could produce some whole county today, so couldn't rule them out. The other focus for concern will probably be what happens a little later on near the southern mountains, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But it is going to be cooler. Just mentioned the cold front's coming in, so we'll go with 70s and 80s as opposed to 80s and 90s today in the plains, and generally going to be in the 70s and 80s over the mountains and mountain valleys as well. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and figure on the evening hours being most active, with the focus for some stronger storms perhaps on the southern I-25 corridor. Get those cells over the burn scars, as mentioned in that little story Bart was talking about, that we could have some issues with flash flooding, and we'll track that through tomorrow evening. Should see that wind down tomorrow night and probably around midnight or so, a little bit like tonight, and then things should get a little quieter. So we'll go into Wednesday and expect a slight bounce back in temperatures into the mid-80s. Then it gets hot Thursday and Friday. And we're not going to entirely remove the mention of showers and thunderstorms from the forecast here for the rest of the week, starting Thursday or into the weekend, but we're going to keep the coverages pretty low at about, in most cases, 10 to 20%. That's down from what we're expecting tomorrow. So the point being, we're really expecting a ton of rain once we get past tomorrow if you happen to get the storms overhead. The good news, I guess, if you don't like the heat, is the weekend will be a little cooler. We'll fall back into the lower to middle 80s. Teller County, not a day here anywhere that I can promise you won't have a chance for some rain, but again, the number of storms will be on the decrease here, so will their potential to produce heavier rain. The warmest days Thursday and Friday will be in the 80s. We'll drop back into the 70s Saturday and Sunday. Pueblo going into the upper 90s to near 100 Thursday and Friday, so those are going to be a couple of hot days for us. Maybe we get lucky with some late day clouds or maybe a brief shower. If nothing else, you get some cooling wind out of those storms that try to develop in the area. Canyon City, you go from 80s tomorrow and Wednesday into the mid-90s Thursday and Friday. But again, we'll have a little bit of natural air conditioning by Saturday. Bart, back to you.